I want to introduce Dr. Rob Hatch to the Rarity Report and have the opportunity to hear from him his perspective of running as well as the meaning of life as a runner. So welcome, Rob.
All right. Well, you gave me an easy task, man.
Well, I want you to know that Rob, Dr. Hatch, is a professor, and he's a professor out of community health and family medicine, and has been an astounding, excellent clerkship director and other
That's the main thing I've done.
Yeah. But you've done those tasks so well for the College of Medicine.
Thank you.
And it's not uncommon that we hear students who have been in your clerkship talk about how they felt that you took them under your wings and helped them.
Yeah, that's always been important to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. Students are.
And in fact, I took them under my wings enough that I would have them go running with me at lunchtime.
I know that. So that's.
I figured the other day I've run with over 500 medical students, if you can believe that.
So that's not a rumor. You actually did.
I really did.
Was that part of the clerkship in terms of for them to pass?
When they were with me in clinic, no. And I'd have to reassure some. But when they were with me at our rural clinic, my routine out there was to run at lunchtime. And so at first I would invite them, and most of them were just super enthusiastic. So about 2/3 of the students who were out there would end up running with me. And so over 24 students a year for 30 plus years, it adds up. So yeah. And some of the first are now professors here. So it's really cool. They ran with me at lunch and now they're professors. So yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
It's amazing some of our students who've done their MD degree, then did residency, and now they're on faculty.
Yes.
And some are assistant deans, and
yes.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, and some world-class people like Jay Clugston with the concussion research he does, and so many other people. Just really cool. Yeah.
You know, another aspect of you is in terms of that I got to see back in the 90s is you're doing the triathlons, etc.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to know, and I think if you'll share with others, were you always a runner? Did you run in like high school?
So Kyle, I used to hate running. It was torture. And what I liked was tennis, and I liked, just pick up, touch football, stuff like that. That hit the spot. Some basketball. But running was torture for me. And a couple different times I decided, I should run because it's going to make me better at the other disciplines. And so I'd give it a try, and I just didn't get it right. Then my last year of college, I was on the club rowing team, and they made us run, and that got me over the hurdle. One of the things I learned was that starting off, I was always running too fast at the start. So I was out of breath after 100 yards, 200 yards. And I just thought, how does anybody do this? So what I needed to learn was when you start, hold the pace back. Let yourself walk a little bit, then go. And with that approach, finally it hit the spot. And when I stopped rowing, I realized that the rowing was filling an important part in my life. It was giving me like a discharge for stress. It was giving me something that I felt positive about, and I was spending a lot of hours doing that every week on the team. And then all of a sudden it was gone. And I don't know about you, but I feel like in my head I got this little hamster on a treadmill. He's just like,
keep going.
Yeah. And so hard exercise calms that hamster down and gives me some internal mental peace. And so that hamster got revved up when I stopped rowing, man. He was going to town. He was going to wear that little treadmill out. And so I picked up running then, and that was the first time it hit the spot. And that was very into college, start of med school. And then things would come up and I'd have to give it up. Med school got real busy, had to stop. Then as a resident, an intern, impossible, didn't run at all. Next year could run, drop it, run, drop it. And then it just became part of what helped keep me sane and balanced.
Who you are.
From that point, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then in the early 90s, early 90s, some friends of mine said they were going to do a 5K, and I'd never done one. And they were all excited about it, so I thought, well, this sounds cool. Let me go do it. And did it, and it was painful, but kind of hit the spot.
Was it like on 6th or 8th Avenue?
No, this was down in Central Florida.
Okay.
And it was in the winter, fortunately, down there, so the temperature wasn't too bad. But yeah, so that got me going on it. So
I was wondering if
start.
maybe your DNA. I was wondering if it's from your parents or something, you know.
So my mom was a good athlete. She was on her college basketball team and was like one of the stars. So I got that partly from her. And my dad grew up on a farm and just worked hard. And so he had the genes for like that hard work. He also had the mental discipline for persistence, sort of. And he passed that on to me genetically and by example. And then that persistence kind of put together with the running helped me get into routines. And the key to sustaining it was routines, just making it part of my regular life. And so I'll tell you one quick story on that. When my daughter was in college, we were talking one Friday evening, and we're talking away, and she stops mid-sentence, and she says, "Dad, it's 6:30 on a Friday. Why aren't you running?" Because for so many years, she knew that when my week was over, Friday, I would finish off the week with a good hard run to let that stress off. She'd just seen me do that for so long that she was shocked when I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And common for her to see you there.
Yeah, and I only ran 3 times a week typically, but I would carve it out. That my one clinic day, lunchtime, run. Friday evening, run. Sunday sometime, run. And that's all it took. But I had to make it part of my routine, and I had to defend it because there are forces in life that want to take it away from you. So I had to defend it, and and so now I guess I started running regularly when I was 25, and I'm 68, and I've run regularly the whole time. Yeah. Apart from when I got injured and I had to give it up for those 8 months, but other than that, yeah.
Back in 2023.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Well, as I mentioned, I think it was in the mid-90s, somehow our paths crossed, and we would go down to Claremont and do triathlons. I don't know if we did.
You and I were crazy, man. So we would do a sprint triathlon, a race. Most people got in their cars and went home. We got on our bikes and we went and did a 50-mile bike ride after the race. And you're the only person crazy enough I could find to do it with me.
I was trying to follow you because you drove. I know.
You didn't have a choice. Yeah.
But you had the nicer bike, because I had some bike I bought for $100.
I did.
It was like lead in the it's hard to keep up.
Those are good days, man.
Yeah,
I enjoyed those. Yeah.
Well, in some ways, I felt like you mentored me, because you already done a couple of the triathlons, and then there's something in between the sprint to the great flirting. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I remember that you helped me get trained up for that.
Yeah. So what every mentor wants is a mentee who goes on and exceeds them. So after I introduced Kyle to triathlons, a few years later, he had done 3 Ironman distances, and I'd only done 1. So he just like left me in the dust, and you just kept on going.
It was trying to get my mindset for swimming. I mean, in Indiana, we didn't have a lot of lakes, things like that. Horse troughs or something like that. But by doing the triathlons, the sprints, helped me get those quarter miles, and then I would go over here to the Florida gym and do the 50-yard. That helped.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
So you've done multiple triathlons.
Yep.
And you've done, you said Ironman
Right.
distances.
Right.
Now you've into ultra
Right.
marathons.
Right. So what happened with that was I've always liked running on the trails, but I trip and fall a lot.
Yeah, those roots.
Yeah, those roots, man, they just
I
grab
find
you.
them.
Yeah. And then the other thing is I really react to chigger bites, and there's so many chiggers on the trails around here and all those ticks. So I kind of stayed away from it, even though it appealed. But then after I got those injuries 2 years ago, tore my meniscus in my knee, completely tore my medial collateral ligament. The ligament healed up great. The meniscus got surgery and it did pretty well. But running hard on asphalt just my knee feels uncomfortable. And I didn't like that feeling. And I'm wondering, what kind of damage am I doing to it if I keep running on asphalt like that? So I got out there and tried trails, and they don't hurt my knee one bit. And so so since that injury, I've gone to running exclusively on trails. And man, for people who want to run a long time, I really recommend trails because it's just so much easier on your body. You hear a lot of the experienced runners who do lots of volume as they get older talking about doing more miles on the trails, just because it's easier on your feet, your knees, your hips, everything. So it has really hit the spot. And last December I did a 50-mile trail ultramarathon, and it was way less painful than your average Ironman. Partly because you're on that soft surface the whole time. So
Is that up in Jennings?
Yeah, at Jennings State
Spring-
Forest. Yeah.
State Forest.
Yeah.
And so you've done that, and then you're going to in December. Is that when you're going to do the 100-mile?
Well, I don't know if it's fair to say I'm going to do the 100-mile. I'm signed up for a 100-miler. We'll see how far I go.
Well,
but that's the plan.
That's a big step, right?
Yeah.
That's a big step.
And I tell you, the training for it is a wonderful adventure. So you have to go all night long because they give you 37 hours to finish. I figure I'm aiming for 35. So you have to go all through the night. So you got to get used to exercising all through the night. So my last workout this past weekend, 11:30 at night, I hop in my car, I drive to some trails, I run till 7 a.m.
By yourself?
By myself. And then I walk for a few hours to get some walking time in afterwards. Yeah, it was a great adventure, man. Full moon, and it turns out I was worried about the critters, but you know what's most common?
No.
Toads. not very dangerous.
I thought it'd be possums or something.
No, and armadillos. And the armadillos are unpredictable, but they're not dangerous. They just surprise you because they just all of a sudden bolt into the bushes. And a few deer and bats like the bugs in the headlights, and so they were kind of flying around a little bit. So yeah, it was a great adventure. Great adventure. Yeah.
There's something about your spirit. You like that adventure.
I do. I do.
I think that's a real positive.
Yeah. And one of the things, a saying I read about adventure that made me realize it, talked about how you want novelty, you want some surprise, you want some level of risk, like you're pushing a limit somehow, and some excitement. And so it had all of that. Yeah.
I've listened to a couple of podcasts when my sons sent to me, and some of those individuals do bow hunting.
Oh yeah.
But it's that adventure, it's the unknown.
Yes.
That it's just
and
speaks to them.
Yeah, there are things you can control, things you can't. So you focus on what you can control. Yeah.
So how many miles a week are you preparing for your December?
So my last week I did, I ran about 27 and walked 6. And I'm adding walking at the end of my long runs. And I tell you, it's been one of the surprises with this adventure of training for the 100 is how helpful it is when you get older to do a long walk at the end of your run. So if I run, say, 20 miles and just go straight home, man, the next day my legs are so sore. That night I'm so crampy.
Yeah.
But I can run, 21, 22 and walk 5 or 6 afterwards. No cramps that night, much less soreness the next day. I guess it just flushes everything out. But yeah, it's been a godsend. Plus, I get all those extra miles in, which I need come December.
Yeah. So is that lactic acid? I mean, you're talking about by walking, you just.
I think, and maybe you loosen the muscles up, and it's kind of like a exercise massage to kind of get those muscles all flushed out and loosened up. Yeah. I don't know. It's just been it's been a wonderful addition to my regimen to do that this year. Yeah.
Now, you have your daughter, then she does distance.
She does.
Running.
Yep. She's done a couple 50Ks. She leaves me in the dust, which I am not happy about. But
you let her know.
Yeah. But I'm proud of her. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
For a long time, she was very gracious and she wouldn't leave me behind. Now she's kind of like, Dad? It's like, yeah, go. And boom.
Yeah, I got 1 or 2 sons that we did the Cincinnati, and they could have gone faster. But I said, go on.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Next one, they'll leave you in the dust.
Yeah, I think they already signed up for one night.
1 or 2, yeah. Times, yeah.
Is there 1 or 2 races that you've done that had more adventure than you thought it was going to have?
Yes. I did a trail race up in North Carolina. It was a trail marathon. And I thought that this was like back before I got injured. And I thought, it's not going to be a big deal. I've gone farther than that with Ironman type stuff. It'll be fine. I didn't account for all the hills that were going to be in North Carolina. And the other thing I didn't account for was constantly being afraid I was lost. Because it was, long, you start at one point, you go 26 miles to another point, and there weren't that many people at the start. So pretty soon you can't see anybody in front of you or behind you. And you come to a crossroads and it's not marked, and it's like, I guess that way, but I don't know. And am I going to freeze to death in the woods tonight if I go the wrong way? Will they find me? And so that was a big part that I was not ready for, is the risk of getting lost on a cold race, because I wasn't ready if it had gotten really cold that night.
I've reading a book with David Coggins. Anyway, Finnish, some kind of Finnish is part of the title, but he does 240-mile, but they get up in the mountains, and he shared on a chapter, they just got lost. They got 15 miles off track, and then they had to come back.
Yes.
And somehow, at least they
good thing they found it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, one thing that scares me is there was that race in China, I guess, an ultramarathon, where, I don't know, 6 or 8 people died because a sudden storm came in that they weren't anticipating. The weather was beautiful at the start, and they didn't bring anything in case it got cold and rainy, and rain came down, temperature plummeted, and people got lost in the bad weather, and it was bad. Yeah, so can't happen.
Well, I admire in terms of where you're at in your life, in terms of what impact you've had on our students and your teaching, but in terms of you as an individual, in terms of your physical health, taking care of that. Plus, you just have that love for that running and doing something right.
Yeah.
Physical.
Yeah, and that's I think part of the secret to longevity in an activity. If you don't love it, it's really hard to sustain it. It's a job, not a pleasure. So, if you love running, there are things you can do to sustain that longevity. And if you try it and it just doesn't hit the spot, then find something you do love and do that, because that makes the longevity a lot easier. Yeah, and then just running by itself, adding in triathlons for all those years added an extra level of more variables, more variation to everything. And I think that made it more sustainable, having all those years where I was doing the tries primarily.
Yeah. You know, I didn't start running a 5K till I was 43 because I thought parents just stayed up in the bleachers and watched their children, because oldest son, he was a cross-country runner, so we would watch. But then the 5Ks was okay, but I had a block. I couldn't believe I could run past 10 miles. And then somehow one of my friends tricked me to get me past the 10-mile marker, and then I was okay.
Huh.
So it's a
yeah,
mindset.
It is, and I couldn't get past 3 or 4 miles 3 times a week. I tried a bunch of times and I failed every time. And I had read that the way to increase your mileage is, I call it the 10% rule. Increase your total volume by 10% per week, not more than that. And so, yeah, I just thought, that's nothing, you know, I've done more than that, gone up more, it was fine. But when I tried to go up from 3 to 5 miles, I could get to 5 miles 3 times a week, but when I tried to go past 3 or 4 times, boom, get to where I couldn't run at all. Go back to like 2 miles a week, try to build back up again, boom. And then I finally thought, okay, so what are my increases? 3 times a week to 4 3 times a week, that's a 25%, no, that's a 33% increase. And then 4 3 times a week to 5 3 times a week, that's a 25% increase. And then to go up to 6, that's like another whatever percent. So I went 33, 25, 20%. No wonder the wheels came off the bus. And then when I went back, I thought, okay, so what is a 10% increase? That's going from 3 times to 3.3. I thought, that's stupid. Who does 3.3 miles? So I tried again. Boom. It's like, all right, I'll try 3.3. It worked.
Trial and error.
Yeah, 3.3, 3.6, and then a rest week every 4th week where I cut way back, and then the next week pick back up. And yeah, it's taken me all the way up to 50 miles, that approach. Increase 10% per week, 4th week cut back, and then the week after that, increase another 10% and, with your total miles. And that let me get my miles up. Everything else I tried did not work. That was really, really key for me.
So when you look at, or you have within you in terms of how you feel about discipline, endurance, I mean, you live and breathe all that. How do you convey that to students, for example? I mean, discipline.
So I look in the individual for the evidence that they have it in them. And in virtually everybody you can find that. So you see somebody who, exhibited discipline with the piano or the violin or a high school team. And then I just help them realize that they have that discipline, and it's a matter of making it a priority more than it is of the discipline, because they got the discipline. It just has to be a priority. And if it's a priority and they got the discipline, it'll happen.
Is that like willpower?
No,
How would you define
it's a conscious decision that it's important to you, and because it's important to you, you're going to make it happen. So like the example...
Add value.
Yeah, so like that, my daughter saying, it's 6:30 on a Friday, why aren't you running? She saw me doing that for years as she was growing up. Essentially her whole life she saw me doing that, the first 18 years. And so running was important to me. Running at the end of a week was important to me. And so I had to say to everybody, this is important, I'm going to do this. You want to go out to dinner? Great. But it's going to be after I'm done with my run and my shower. But I'm happy to go out to dinner. And if someone says, oh, let's go eat early, it's like, maybe this once, but it's going to be a rare event because this is a priority. So making it that kind of a priority and then protecting it from the things that wanted to pull me away, that's what made that running every Friday evening happen. Because it was important to me. And then the other thing that happened was my wife could see that when something came up and I couldn't do it, I was not a lot of fun to be around. You know, I was like this grumpy, snippy guy.
No, no.
Yes,
no.
no, yes, I really was. And so, in fact, there were times when she said, Rob, man, you need to go for a run. So it helped that they saw the benefit. And
They
then,
went and got your tennis shoes and
yeah.
and
Or
opened
even the dog was bringing them to me. He's like, yeah, go for a run, Dad. Get out of here. And so, so then they have buy-in. And then the other thing is they knew that then after that, I would do what was important to them. So carve out this time, let me do what's important to me, and then later I'll do what's important to you. And they could count on me doing that. And so they didn't begrudge the fact that I was, you know, carving that out for myself. And so it meant, yeah, I spent a little less time with my kids that I might otherwise have, but in the long run, it was better for them, it was better for me. And so yeah, so it was more making it a priority and doing it. So like for these, there are times when my schedule says you need to go run 20 miles and the temperature at the end is going to be 90 degrees in Florida, super humid. And I'll go, oh man, I don't know, you know, this is worth it. But I've been rewarded enough that when I carry through at that time, at the end, I'm almost always glad. I mean, you're really glad when you're done with a workout like that. You're like, woo, thank God I got that done. But also you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Because it was a challenge, it was hard to make yourself do it, you do it. So you get personal rewards, and then you do that, and that kind of crisis is too big a word, but that kind of a challenge where it's that hard to make yourself go, it doesn't come up all that often. But when it does, if you overcome it, then it makes you feel even better about the success that comes later, because you had to overcome those challenges in order to get yourself prepared for that event.
you just have to step into it.
Yeah.
And you know, the first couple of steps are half a mile or a half hour.
Yes.
Yes. It's not very.
Yes.
But it's that reward. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's dopamine release or
Yeah,
what.
yeah, I think that's part of it. But you know, what you said is so important. Times like that, I have said, there is no way I can run the distance I'm supposed to, but I'll go do something. And if you just get out there and do something, you get your legs moving, and all of a sudden it's like, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And pretty soon it's like, whoa, I'm halfway done. Well, maybe I can finish. So yeah, so just getting started, you're so right, really important.
It reminds me, related to swimming, it's the buoys. I mean, how I'm going to swim 2.4 miles, but I always tried with students to share that buoys are like landmarks like anything else. You just look at the first buoy, get around it, and then you work on another buoy, right? I mean, that's sort of my philosophy of life. Is
great way, great analogy
for a journey.
Yep. Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share with the group, Rob?
No, I don't. Well, you too have been a wonderful mentor. So you need to pat yourself on the back. So many students have looked up to you, see you as someone who has a balanced life with the running and everything, and the deep, deep, deep commitment to education. So you deserve tremendous credit for that too. Tremendous credit.
You've been a tremendous colleague.
As have you.
And you know,
As have you.
It's been a Camelot period of time in terms of here at University of Florida College of Medicine.
Yeah,
you agree with that?
We caught some wonderful, wonderful years here together.
Yeah.
Really did. Yeah.
And all the joy and in the future.
Yes, thank you. You too.
Thank you for being a part of this discussion.
My pleasure.